Alright lads, Ryan here from MEHQ Motors, and today we're giving this E36 the stance it should have had from the factory. Shout out to Flashark for sending over this coilover kit. They look great in the box, so let's see how much better they can make the E36 look. The old suspension's well past the sell by date, so it's time to tighten things up and get this thing sitting properly. Here's how it's sitting at the moment. Way too high for my liking. It's the classic factory comfort ride height. Great for clearing speed bumps, but not so great for handling or looks. Ideally, I'm looking to bring it down about an inch or maybe more once it settles. We're not going to slam it, we're just going to make it look lower and make the wheels fit the arches a bit better. The stock suspension's had a rough life anyway, as you'll see later on in the video, so it's definitely time to replace it. This is everything that came in the box from Flashark. We've got the two coilovers for the front with the heavy duty lower mounts. The two dampers for the back, again with heavy duty steel lower mounts. The adjustable spring perches and springs for the back, and the wrenches that you can adjust the coilovers with. So after a full minute of just talking, let's actually start installing them. First we're going to undo the hood or bonnet latches because this is obviously a race car.
A few moments later.
Here we can see the legendary inline 6 from BMW, but more importantly we have access to the top mount so we can undo the nuts there. Then we have to go about taking off the wheels with our impact gun. As you can see from the wheel, we did have to use a torch to get this off at one point, but fortunately enough it just comes straight off now with no issues. Obviously, after we take off any wheel, we're going to stick it under the car for a bit of extra safety. Now we're going to start taking off the nuts on the strut tower. As you can see, there are 3 of them. For some reason, I used my ratchet to try and take this off instead of my impact, so you can see it was a little bit tough. But with a bit of persuasion, it came off easily enough. We're going to remove 2 of the nuts completely, but leave one on so that the strut doesn't fall out of the tower later. Next are the 3 rusty bolts on the lower mount of the strut. You can see one on each side, and one in the middle a bit higher up on the strut. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of nature's Loctite on this, rust, so it's going to cause us some issues when we try to take it off in a second. First I had to go with my normal impact with a right angle joint, and you can see that kicked up a bit of rust, but really did nothing. This WD-40 rust penetrant says it works straight away, but really made no difference at all. Then I had to go with the big boy impact, which still did nothing, and basically mangled my right angle joint. The magic formula came when I got a 2-foot long ratcheting breaker bar, which I was finally able to break it loose with. The breaker bar worked like a charm on both sides, and on the middle bolt I put the breaker bar on one side and my impact on the other, and it came off easily. Next up we have to disconnect all of the wires and cables that are attached to the strut. This is the front driver's side, so you have a brake pad sensor wire, a wheel speed sensor, and the actual brake line that goes around the back of the strut. You have to make sure all these are disconnected so the strut, when it's loosened up, can actually just be pulled straight out and not be getting caught up in any of the wires. Make sure they are swinging around freely and not connected to the strut anymore like I'm showing here. Now you can pull your brake disc away from the strut to disconnect it, leaving the strut only connected to the car now by that one nut we left in earlier on the top mount. Hold the strut underneath and take off the nut at the top, and that's your strut disconnected from the car. One thing to look out for here is that the front coilovers are actually directional, so make sure the cable holes on each side match the stock strut. The other hole at the top is for the M3, which we do not have. So obviously the installation of the front coilovers is going to be the opposite of taking them off. We're going to take off the nuts on the top first, and then we're going to try and feed the lower mount of the coilover down through the cables and wires that we took off the other strut before. Keep in mind here that your wheel speed sensor and your brake pad sensor will be at the front of the coilover and your brake line at the back. Stick on the nuts at the top and just hand tighten them. These will have to be tightened later when the car is actually on the ground. Now we're going to walk our jack over to the wheel knuckle. Here you want to make sure that the jack is positioned under the control arm and not the brake disc so you don't damage the brake disc, and we're going to jack the whole knuckle up to meet the new coilover that we just put in. So here I made a bit of a mistake, shockingly. I put in the top bolt first on the strut, and that made it an absolute nightmare to line up the bottom 2. If you're installing these, I'd really recommend to install the bottom 2 bolts on the strut first, and then the top one should just slide in after that. It'll make your life an awful lot easier, and it will avoid you spending a couple of hours trying to line this up like I did. But when you do get the 2 bottom bolts in on the strut, just feed the top bolt on the strut through, put on your washers, and put on your nut. Then you can tighten everything up. Fortunately enough, these are all 80mm bolts and are all 107 Nm of torque. You can also adjust the camber with these coilovers. You can adjust them either while they're on the car or before you put them in. Usually it's recommended with all E36s that you max out the camber on these to make sure you get the best fitment possible. And there you go. One front Flashark coilover fully installed. Now we can turn our attention to the back that has a slightly different divorced damper and spring setup, and we can start off again with walking our jack to the back knuckle. What we're doing here is supporting the control arm so that the spring doesn't fire down when we take out the bolt for the strut. So that's what we're doing here now with the impact. Usually these are pretty easy to take off, so an impact with any bit of force will take it off. Again, that's why we have the jack there to support the hub or the knuckle so that it doesn't push downwards when we take out this bolt. And once this bolt is out, you'll see that the damper is free and swinging and is just held in by the 2 bolts up top. Then we can actually lower the jack down slowly and take the tension off the spring. I didn't show it here, but I was able to take the spring up on myself by putting my foot on the hub, pushing down and just yanking the spring up on my hand. Now we're taking off the nuts at the top of the damper. An ingenious idea I had was to put the jack underneath the damper so it just doesn't fall out on the ground. Then I can let the jack down slowly and just take it out of my hand without it falling. You don't need to do it this way if you have 2 people, but unfortunately I have no friends, so I have to come up with fixes like this. With the damper now out of the car, I wanted to check what the rebound was like after 30 years of use. And as you will see right now, the rebound has left the chat. The damper is not damping anymore, so it is a really good thing that we are replacing these right now. So here's the old damper and spring setup compared to the new ones from Flashark. I tried to compare the rebound on the Flashark dampers to the old ones, but I couldn't even push them down, so there's your difference. So now we can go about installing the damper on the back suspension. This rubber little collar here, I'm not really sure what it's for, but it looks like it's supposed to be there, so I made sure it was just pushed up at the top. And I'm going to use my jack trick again here to line up the bolts for the top mounts of the damper and give me time to go up to put on the nuts. Again, this is because I do not have any friends. If you have friends, you can hold the damper at the bottom while your friends put the nuts on at the top. As strut towers are one of the biggest weak points on E36s, I'm putting a reinforcement plate under the nuts because I definitely do not want to look in the boot one day and see the damper gone all the way to the strut tower. And this is the finished product with the back suspension. Again, I made a bit of a mistake here. The adjustment collars on the spring perch should be nearly up to the top. I set this way too high first go. The bolt at the bottom of the damper is another 18mm bolt and is 100 Newton meters of torque. Again, I will put all of the torque specs in the description so you can just access them easily. Thank God I replaced both these dampers because they're just gone. The front strut towers were starting to flare out a little bit, but they're not too bad, so I decided to match the back. Obviously I have to hammer these down a bit better and bond them to the strut tower, but you get the idea. So let's compare the difference in ride height before and after. This is the before shot of the passenger side rear arch. This has a little bit of damage on it, so it's always looked a bit lower than it actually is, but you can still see it sitting a bit high. There's a good gap there between the arch and the tyre. Here's the afters with the Flashark suspension. It's come down about an inch or more. Where you can see the difference more is on the front suspension. This is the before with the factory suspension, it's sitting up quite high, and this is the after with the Flashark suspension. Again, once it settles a bit, we might have to do a bit more adjusting, but to me that looks 100 times better than it did before, and there's a nice even gap all the way around the tyre. I do think, however, I'm about 100 times more likely to absolutely destroy my splitter now it's so low. So this is the finished product. Again, there might be slightly more dialing in to be done, but I'm very happy the way it's sitting now, and thankfully all of the huge wheel arch gaps are now gone. So a big thank you again to Flashark for sending these coilovers out, and can't wait to test them even more on the road.